Hello, yeah, welcome to today's tutorial. And in today's tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make this stylish Bubu dress that has drawstring details. This dress can pass as a blouse and also function as a dress. So this is a very versatile style. Thank you so much for your love in my previous video, and thank you for engaging my videos, posts, comments in this 30 days sewing challenge. So without further ado, let's just jump right into today's video. So here are the materials I'm going to be using. I'm going to be making use of Ankara fabric, and I'm going to be combining it with this navy blue crepe fabric. So for my Ankara fabric, I have less than 2 yards here. So once you have 2 yards, then it's enough. So I'm going to be combining it with this navy blue fabric. Okay. Now I'm going to be explaining something I would want you to pay attention to. For my front pattern, you understand that normally we're supposed to cut this front pattern on fold. Okay, it should be on fold. The front pattern should always be on fold. But for the purpose of this tutorial, because we're going to be combining it with this navy blue crepe fabric, I'm going to be joining this together at the center front. So what I have on fold here is about 16.5 inches. Okay, now the point I'm going to be joining, I've went ahead to iron that point down, and that point is about 1.25 inches. Okay, so what I have is about 16.5. Okay, when I placed my measuring tape on it, as you can see, and what I really need is about 15 inches. Okay, so what I'm going to do now is to go ahead to open up that folded end. As you can see, that folded end I have about 1.25 to 1.5 inches. Then this part is the part we're going to use to create our drawstring casing. I hope you understand. So I went ahead to iron that point down to on my navy blue fabric. Okay, and I ensure that my front pattern on the Ankara and the crepe are of the same length, the same width, and the same height. Okay, so this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do now is to pin this down, and I'm going to be drafting directly on this navy blue fabric so that we can see it clearly. So you can go ahead to stitch this down, okay, but for me I'm just going to go ahead to pin this down as I'm going to be stitching later. So this Ankara print is quite colorful, and that is why I just decided to add this navy blue fabric to it to tone it down. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead to indicate my origin line, okay, by measuring 0.5 inches from that point and creating my horizontal line on it. Now it's on this point I'm going to be inserting my neck measurement. So you have to take your measurement from your mid neck to wherever you want your length to be. So in my case, I'm working with 15 inches. Okay, for my mid neck to where I want the length to be, mine is 15 inches. You can decide to make your shorter or more. Then I'm going to be adding 2 extra inches to this. Now that's true. These 2 extra inches is going to be for my sleeve turning, like to be able to turn my sleeve for hemming my sleeve in. Okay, then I went down by 3 inches. As you can see, these 3 inches is going to be used to create my shoulder slope. So from that point, I'm going to go ahead to connect that point down to my center front, where which is my origin. So from this point now, I'm going to go ahead to impute my neck width measurement. So I'm working with a neck width measurement of 3 inches. You can decide to do less or do more depending on your body size. And for my front neck depth, I'm going to be working with 6.5 inches, as you can see. So for this particular tutorial, I'm going to be using a V neckline for my front, and I'm going to be using a scoop neckline for my back. So for my back, I went down by 2 inches. Okay, I went down by 2 inches, and I'm just going to connect that point to my neck width. Now, after doing that, I'm going to go ahead to mark out my waist measurements, my hip measurements, and seriously, you really don't need this measurement, but I'm just marking this, especially if you're a total beginner, so that you get to understand what we are doing better. Then I went ahead to indicate my full length measurement. So for my full length, I want 40.5 inches, and I added one extra inch to make it 41.5 inches. Now that one extra inch is going to be used for hemming when I'm done sewing. So I went ahead to just rule this horizontal line to know where I'm going to stop when I'm done marking. So now the next thing I'm going to go ahead to do from my shoulder is to indicate my bust measurement. Now this my bust measurement is going to be where I'm going to have my sleeve opening. Okay, you can decide to make yours less or more depending on how wide you want your sleeve opening to be. So I'm just working with that. I'm just going to work with where my bust measurement is. So this point from the shoulder slope region to this line is going to be for my sleeve opening. And on this bust point now, I'm going to go ahead to impute my bust round measurement divided by 4, and I'm going to be adding extra 5 inches to this measurement. Now you can decide to do 6 inches, 7 inches or more. You can even decide to do 4 inches, 3 inches, depending on how wide you want your boot to be. So in my case, I'm using 5 inches, and this is inclusive of my sewing allowance. So I just went ahead to mark that same measurement on my lower end, that is my hemline. And I'm just going to go ahead to connect these 2 points together using a straight line. Now, after doing this, the next thing I'm going to do is to join my sleeve opening point together. I'm just going to connect that sleeve opening point using a straight line from the shoulder slope, as you can see. And from that point now, I'm going to be making a curve in order not to have a sharp end when I'm done sewing. So this is what the front pattern look like. And I'm going to be using the same pattern to cut the back pattern also. So I went toward the shoulder slope region, as you can see, and I'm just going to go ahead to add 0.5 inches for my sewing allowance, that is my joining allowance at the shoulder region. Now, after doing this, the next thing I just went ahead to do was to trim out the excesses I don't need again. So remember I told you I've already added my sewing allowance to this point. So I went ahead to cut out the back neckline, as you can see me do. Then I trim out the excess I have on my shoulder region, on the sleeve opening region area, as well as the main bodies. And after doing that, this is what the front looks like. Okay, now I'm going to fold back, and I'm going to be placing my back fabric underneath after I folded that into two. Then I'm going to just fold in this my drawstring casing extension. So you can see that I make sure I put my back fabric on the line of the drawstring casing extension, not together with drawstring casing extension. I hope you understand that rather. And after doing that, I just went ahead to trim out the excesses I don't need again. So that's basically it for the back pattern. And this is what the back pattern is going to look like when I was done cutting. So we're going to be working on the front pattern now. Remember that this is a drawstring Bubu dress. So first of all, I went ahead to cut out my front neckline. Remember, it's a V neckline. Okay, so this is what the front neckline will look like. So I'm going to go ahead to join this first at the crease line. Join it, okay, straight at the crease line. And I'm going to go ahead to fold in 0.5 inches twice on this side to form my casing. Now I went ahead to cut this strip of fabric that is the same length from the neckline to the full length of this dress, and it is about 1.25 inches. I'm going to be folding this in form of a bias, and I'm going to be sewing on it. So I've gone ahead to do that, and this is what this drawstring casing look like in front. So you can see that this is the front part, okay? I'm going to be folding it on the lower end like so. So I'm going to be leaving about 1.5 inches on that part. Now, for the purpose of this tutorial, just mark that point, that 1.5 inches on the lower end. Then I'm going to go ahead to create an opening, just a small opening on the front, not at the back piece, just on the front and the back. I'm going to be creating a small opening. As you can see, you can as well put an eyelet on this particular part if you want, but I'm not going to be doing that in this tutorial. So just going to create a small opening that my elastic and my rope can pass through. You can see that there's no opening at the back. So this is my rope. I went ahead to sew this down. So on this rope region now, I'm just going to go ahead with my safety pin. Then I'm going to pass it through this hole that I made, and I'm going to go ahead to start to push this in till I get to the top. So as I push, I'm going to keep pulling so that the rope can keep going in. So you can see I've gotten to the top for the two, and I went ahead to tie that down so it does not go in again. So this is what it looks like. I've not gone ahead, I've not pulled this particular rope. Okay, so this is what it looks like. You can see I have extension down. So once I pull the drawstring, that's the effect that we have. So after doing that, I'm going to go ahead to cut facing for both the front and the back. As you can see, I went ahead to cut facing, and I'm going to be stitching this down off camera for the back and the front. And after doing that, I'm going to go ahead to place the back pattern. After fixing the facing of the back also, I'm going to go ahead to place the back pattern right side facing right side. And I'll go ahead to join it at the shoulder region. After joining it at the shoulder region, I'm going to go ahead to fold my sleeve opening by that 2 inches. That is, fold it by 1 inch, as you can see, then another inch. Then I'm going to join this. Then I'll go ahead to join it at the side using just 1 inch. And after I'm done doing all of that, this is what I have. At the beginning of this video, I showed you how to wear this particular purple dress as a shirt with a pant trousers. Now, if you want it to be in form of a gown, this is what I have, as you can see. So all you need to do is just to keep pulling up this rope